Step into the gripping tale of Nikolay Maksimovich Pavlenko, a man driven by a volatile mix of ambition, anger, and resentment towards the Soviet regime, as he seizes every opportunity to amass wealth and navigate the tumultuous times that surround him. Join us as we delve into the captivating story of his rise from a road builder to the commander of a fictitious military construction unit known as the Unravel. Nikolay Maksimovich Pavlenko, born in 1912 into a large family of a miller, came into the world in the village Novy Sokolai near Kiev. His father, a diligent and intelligent man, had established a prosperous farm with 2 mills and actively traded grain. However, after the revolution, their family was deemed class enemies, and everything was confiscated from them. In 1928, Nikolay's father was labeled a kulak and subjected to dispossession, repression, and seizure of assets. Tragically, he passed away during the years of collectivization due to starvation, a loss that deeply impacted Nikolay. This event fueled his everlasting anger and resentment toward the Soviet regime. Seeking refuge, Nikolay fled to the city, where he presented himself as 4 years older and secured employment as a road builder at Glavdotrans. After engaging in document forgery, he managed to secure admission to the Kiev Engineering and Construction Institute in 1928. However, during his time as a student, Nikolay finds himself detained for 35 days in a pretrial detention center due to his involvement in a case related to 3 spikelets. It is during this period that he attracts the attention of NKVD officers who recruit him. Subsequently, Pavlenko actively provides testimonies against his colleagues, particularly targeting the Trotskyists. His cooperation leads to him being deemed trustworthy, and he is assigned as a liaison to Glavwoenstroy, the organization responsible for construction projects for the armed forces. Within Glavwoenstroy, Nikolay gradually ascends through the ranks, holding various positions ranging from foreman to senior section. The work was demanding but lucrative, a fact that Nikolay realizes, prompting him to leave the institute and focus entirely on his job. After a few years, he becomes the head of a construction site in Minsk. Concurrently, he immerses himself in studying meticulous accounting practices, enabling him to manipulate records and create falsified figures to secure additional funds. However, the outbreak of war changed everything. As soon as the war commenced, Pavlenko willingly joined the front lines as a volunteer. He was promptly appointed as the assistant engineer of the 2nd Rifle Corps, holding the military rank of first-class military equipment. During wartime, the issue of roads became critical. The military needed to relocate troops, necessitating the construction of roads, bridges, and repair teams. Unfortunately, prior to the war, most construction units had been deployed to the western border, and the warehouses containing essential tools were situated 20 kilometers away from the Polish border, which were quickly lost in the initial days of the conflict. Recognized as a skilled professional, Pavlenko was assigned to the Kalinin region, where he was entrusted with the leadership of a vital section of work under the jurisdiction of the Western Front Airfield Construction Department. However, Pavlenko never reached his intended destination. By fabricating a military personnel certificate, he manages to obtain authorization to travel within the country and safely retreats to the rear, specifically to Tver, where he assumes the rank of captain. Having arrived in Tver after his previous assignment in Kalinin, he reunites with his friends and decides to spend a few days there. It is during this time that he encounters his future wife, who works at the General Post Office. Impressed by their connection, Pavlenko makes the decision to settle in Tver and eventually marry her. This is where the tale of his most significant deception unfolds. Pavlenko confides in his wife and family, claiming to be a Red officer involved in a covert mission for the commander-in-chief. In order to legitimize his position, he assembles a brigade of 10 individuals and several construction machines. Being skilled in bridge and road restoration, Pavlenko decides to focus on repair work, all while concealing his desertion. Along the way, Pavlenko befriends a small-time swindler named Ludwig Rudnichenko, who possesses the ability to create stamps from shoe heels. Pavlenko approaches Rudnichenko and requests him to carve the word site of military building work onto the stamp, effectively eliminating any document-related complications. Pavlenko proclaims himself as the commander of this fictitious unit and appoints Rudnichenko as his first deputy. With Ludwig's assistance, all the necessary documents for the members of the UVR-5 are fabricated, transforming Pavlenko into a third-ranking military engineer, a major in the Red Army in reality. Pavlenko proceeds with formalizing his enterprise by bribing employees at Sberbank USSR, who in turn provide him with a personal account. He purchases uniforms for the ordinary units while acquiring uniforms for the officer unit from the Kalinin clothing factory. Pavlenko frequently utilizes food as a bribe in his operations. To expand his workforce, Nikolay Pavlenko submits a petition to the Kommandatura, a military command unit of the Territory, requesting the assignment of discharged soldiers from hospitals to his unit. As a result, Pavlenko's staff grows, and the UV organization of construction and development begins to resemble an authentic construction unit, complete with personnel, uniforms, official documents, and a commanding officer. The military unit is supplemented with deserters and soldiers who have fallen behind their assigned units. The ordinary soldiers within the organization remain unaware of the illegality surrounding its formation. Trusted individuals form the command structure of the UV. 5 secures contracts for construction projects, with the profits divided between the higher-ups, including Nikolay, while a meager portion is distributed to the ordinary workers involved. Pavlenko enters into a contract with a local head of the evacuation center, which is responsible for providing medical care and preparing for the evacuation of the wounded and sick during wartime. The following day, Nikolay's workers begin repairing the premises and constructing new mud huts. The demand for road-building organizations is high during the war, and Pavlenko starts making his first profits in the spring of 1942. Using a portion of the money, Pavlenko purchases food for his personal use, while dividing the remaining funds among the officers in his unit. The UV, 5 officers under his unit. The UV 5 officers under Pavlenko's command receive substantial earnings for their wartime effort. The end of 1942 proves to be the successful period for Pavlenko. In the 1930s, construction units were established to utilize the labor force of prisoners in the pursuit of building communism. These units were initially under the authority of the NKVD, a procedure of the infamous KB. Despite the disbandment of the Gushador, General Directorate of Road Construction, in 1942 and the failure to establish a new administration, road construction remained in high demand. The constant shortage of construction units meant that Pavlenko's operations were not yet at risk of exposure. During the restructuring of the Kalinin front in November 1942, where UV 5 was stationed, Pavlenko realizes the need to relocate closer to the active military operations. The rear area is well organized, but there is a scarcity of work, increasing risks and declining revenue. To overcome this, Pavlenko resorts to bribery and offers a bribe to the commander of the 12th Aviation Base area. This bribe allows for the conversion of food certificates, which confirm the entitlement to food rations or monetary compensation, ensuring that the personnel of the military repair department receive full salaries. This new development proves advantageous for UV 5 since they now have the opportunity to serve airfields, which are typically located near the front line. Despite the constant threat of exposure, Pavlenko's illicit actions are not discovered by SMERSH, the organization responsible for counterintelligence and the death of spies. Under the guidance of Nikolay Pavlenko, UV 5 experiences significant growth, expanding to a workforce of 200 individuals. The scale of their operations is truly astounding, as they manage to amass a net profit exceeding 1 million rubles, limited only to the Soviet border. Additionally, in the territories of Poland and Germany, the UV 5 initiates brazen acts of looting against the local population. To facilitate the transportation of their spoils, Pavlenko arranges for an entire train consisting of 30 wagons. Notably, the members of UV 5 are falsely awarded 230 medals through the use of counterfeit documentation. In May 1945, UV reaches its destination in Stuttgart, Germany. Pavlenko establishes connections within the main logistics department, which grants his organization permission to collect trophies through bribery. On the surface, Pavlenko's activities and those of his organization appear legal. However, there are individuals within OIA, Office of Internal Affairs, who promote looting and unrest. The locals express their grievances to the commandant of Stuttgart, prompting him to summon Pavlenko. Realizing the potential risks, Nikolay makes a crucial decision. He arranges for the execution of those members of his brigade who have been involved in the local population. This execution is conducted publicly. In 1946, Pavlenko decides to disband the unit. The process begins with firings accompanied by rewards for their victory and good work. Ordinary staff members receive amounts ranging from 7,000 to 12,000 rubles, while officers receive between 15,000 and 25,000 rubles. Pavlenko himself writes off 90,000 rubles. 2 years later, Pavlenko gathers the officers of the alleged unit once again, with the aim of establishing a new organization. They choose Western Ukraine as their operating location since the central power of the USSR had limited influence there. The region was still experiencing ongoing clashes with anti-Soviet partisans. During their post-war careers in the former UVR-5, strict discipline gave way to more intimate family relationships among the members. They celebrated holidays, births, weddings, and anniversaries together. However, these close relationships hindered their collective business endeavors. Ludwig's wife began extorting money and threatening to expose their activities, and eventually Ludwig himself got involved. On October 15, 1952, the blackmailer was captured and held for 17 days. After being released, he received a payment of 25,000 rubles to ensure his silence. Following this incident, the situation appeared to settle down, giving Pavlenko a sense of temporary calm. The scope of UVR's operations expanded as Pavlenko's branches spread across various regions, including Odessa, Zaporozhye, Dnipropetrovsk, Lviv, and Mogilev. The use of bribes played a significant role in achieving such progress. Pavlenko's organization had influential supporters, although internal divisions and envy within Nikolay's team ultimately led to its downfall. This disunity resulted in one of Pavlenko's subordinates in the Mogilev region mistreating workers by withholding their wages. Frustrated, the workers sent a complaint to the office of Voroshilov, a member of the Politburo USSR known for his substantial influence within the state apparatus. On the night of November 14, 1952, the operation to apprehend Nikolay Pavlenko's team commenced. 50 officers and 300 soldiers were arrested, and a significant amount of weapons, ammunition, vehicles, and construction equipment were seized. Additionally, stamps, seals, forms, and certificates were confiscated. Pavlenko himself was apprehended near Chisinau in the main headquarters of the Internal Affairs Agency, and during the search, he was discovered wearing general epaulettes. On November 16, 1952, Pavlenko and his accomplices were detained and placed in the Buderskaya prison's remand center. The punishment for being plunderers of socialist property was intended to serve as a public display. However, on March 5, 1953, Stalin passed away, and there were expectations of an amnesty, but not for Pavlenko. It took 2 years of investigation to compile a comprehensive account of the events that transpired within UVR-5 over the course of 10 years. The military tribunal of the Moscow Military District charged Pavlenko with 3 offenses: subversion of state industry, anti-Soviet agitation, and counter-revolutionary organization. The investigation revealed that Nikolay Pavlenko had embezzled 36 million rubles, more than 100 million used by today's rate, even though it's hard to exactly tell. Despite the evidence against him, Pavlenko refused to plead guilty as he believed that his actions had ultimately benefited the Soviet Union by constructing roads. At his trial, Pavlenko said, "We did not engage in anti-Soviet activity. We just built as best we could and built very professionally. I have committed many crimes, but I have never done anything against the Soviet state, and I have never had any intention of undermining its economic power. We did not steal state funds from the bank, but received legal money for the work done." He was executed after the trial. During the prosecutor's report, it was noteworthy that Pavlenko's construction endeavors showcased a level of road quality that rivaled capitalist standards, highlighting his unorthodox approach within the Soviet system. It is possible that the effectiveness and scope of the organization became one of the reasons that the obvious economic crimes tried to reclassify into political, counter-revolutionary, and connection with foreign special services. The existence of entrepreneurship of this scale is a stone in the garden of the Soviet system, or rather its inefficiency. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this captivating journey. Don't miss out on the latest updates and exclusive content. Hit that subscribe button and share your thoughts in the comments section. And